What's up, everybody? You're listening to the Hustle and Flowchart podcast with your boys, Matt Wolfe and Joe Fier. Check it. So serene out here as a motorcycle drives by in the background.
You're not supposed to tell them we're not that far from a road. We're in the nature right now, everyone.
We are. Welcome to the Hustle and Flowchart podcast.
Does nature.
Hustle and Flowchart. Hustle and Flow Camp. Hustle and...
Yeah, that could be a thing.
Hustle and Flow Nature.
Flow nature.
Hustle and Flownays.
No. If anyone listening wants to do a retreat with us, just email Sarah, our support gal, at support@info. Oh, geez. support@evergreenprofits.com.
What?
You don't want to hold retreats? We're in the nature. It feels nice and serene.
No, I don't.
We could talk business and life.
So what are we doing today?
We're talking about basically our last 2 weeks of our life as of recording.
Well, right now, you and I are sitting in a park, a county park in San Diego County.
Yes.
What's this park called?
I forgot.
Pop quiz.
It's on the way to Verona Casino.
Yeah.
Off of Wildcat Canyon Road. It's like William Seltzer County Park, I think, or something like that. It's like seltzer water.
But it's like a very nice, like serene environment with like trees and nature and birds and running
trees.
Water. And it's like this really cool environment. And then like my view that I'm facing, Joe can't see it because he's got his back to it. But my view right now is we're about 50 yards from like basically a freeway.
Oh, it's just a very busy road to a casino.
A very busy road.
That goes like to a casino. So they're like, I'm going to be rich. And then they come back gunning it. And I think there's a lot of crashes on this. They're like, man, I just lost all my money. Why did I gamble my money away?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. That's just my, maybe that's why there's a lot of accidents on this road too.
But it's this like nice, serene environment with a little bit of road noise. But we figured we'd just get into a different environment to record this episode.
Yes.
Yes.
The last 2 weeks of our lives
have
maybe
been
3 weeks.
Hell.
No, they've been lovely, but draining. We went to First Traffic and Conversion Summit, and that's in San Diego, so we commuted a very far away. It was difficult to get there. All the storms of San Diego, just atrocious. You know, we're 20 minutes away. Oh God. So we did that. That was the first. And the week following that, we went to Orlando, Florida to go to Podfest 2019.
Which I'm not typically a huge fan of Orlando, but Orlando was quite pleasant this time of year.
Yeah, it's because the weather felt like San Diego.
Yeah. Actually, no, because it was pouring rain in San Diego while we were in Orlando.
Exactly. It felt like San Diego, and we had like Orlando weather. Yeah, it was backwards. But that was okay. It worked out.
Yeah.
Both were amazing events.
Had some like shitty flight situations, but that's not something we need to get into.
No. Enough people have heard our woes about that. But yeah, starting with TNC, that was cool because it's always like a, it's like a meeting of the friends and new friends and people that just are kind of on the same wavelength with stuff. So it's cool. And we hold our brew event over time with our whole crew, Dan Ryan, Jenny DeRose, Eric DeRose, Gibba, us, and others I'm probably forgetting because people love what we're doing. It's
the crew at Mission Brewery.
The crew. Yeah. Or any brewery we're at. Yeah, in this case, Mission.
Yeah.
It was cool. That one brought out hundreds of people. I don't know how many.
It was packed. Yeah, we had a lot of people there. It sucked because during TNC, the night before TNC actually started, there's a big party by David Gonzalez, past podcast guest also. He puts on this party on that Sunday night before it starts, but it's in like a nightclub. And so it was so loud in there that I lost my voice on the first night. And so the entire Traffic and Conversion Summit, I had no voice.
Yeah, I was your translator.
Basically.
For like...
I just whispered creepily in a lot of people's ears.
Yeah. You got to know a lot of people in very quiet, intimate way.
But we talked about how we wanted to make a podcast episode sort of recapping some of our takeaways from TNC and from Podfest and some of the stuff we've been doing lately. And, most of our takeaways from these things have been more in the hallways and at some of these networking events and parties and things like that, and less so actually sitting in the conference. I mean, the content at these conferences is amazing. I don't want to downplay that at all. But I feel like this year specifically, most of our big like insights, aha takeaways were the stuff that happened outside of the conferences. And then we also gave us a presentation at Podfest. We were supposed to be on a panel at Podfest.
Right.
And there's supposed to be 4 panelists all talk about affiliate marketing and selling like merch online. and the other two panelists had travel issues and couldn't make it to the event, so it ended up basically just being Joe and I giving a presentation on affiliate marketing.
That was pretty funny. Yeah, it was us being interviewed and then just taking a lot of questions from the audience.
Yeah.
And for 30 minutes or so, just Matt and I talking about how we monetize in a completely different way than most podcasters even know about.
Yeah.
Let's go to that secondly.
Yeah.
Let's start with TNC. And yeah, I guess like our general takeaways, it's like you were saying, I feel like we see it as like an amazing time to just gather people from all around the world, because and a lot of folks we've never seen, a lot of our customers and listeners stopped us because we were giving out a lot of Hustle and Flowchart t-shirts and stickers and whatnot. And people were pulling us aside, folks that have been on the podcast, we've been on theirs, or, customers or listeners. It's just really cool because we're like, oh my God, that's amazing. Or, we run into guys like Todd Brown and Rich Sheffrin, and we're coordinating them to be on the podcast, and we're like, oh, you've been doing great. I don't know, it's just like it's really cool to kind of get the feedback. It's like a feedback loop, really.
Yeah.
See what's kind of happening, who's hanging around, what they're paying attention to, and
well, you got to figure too, like, with our podcast and our business, we're kind of always, most of the year, we're kind of in our own little bubble. Right, like you and I, we see each other a couple times a week. We record our podcasts and do our webinars and that kind of stuff. And you and I always get kind of pumped up on what we're doing, but we don't really get a ton of external feedback. We get some emails to support from time to time, and people will mention our show on Instagram or Facebook from time to time. But it's hard to really see the impact our show is making and like what topics have really interested people until we go to an event like this and we actually bump into listeners and they tell us like, oh, that show had a big impact on me. Or we go and you're really distracting me now. Or we go and
Instagramming.
We bump into people that are like, oh, I really loved that episode when you talked about this. You should do that more often. Or, I just heard that episode. We heard this a lot, like Joy Houston we recently had on. We had a bunch of people say, oh, man, that episode was amazing. But we don't ever see that feedback. Like, people don't write into support very often to say, hey, I love your podcast.
Yeah.
Usually when people write into support, it's to complain or something's not working or a tech issue or something. We rarely get people writing to support going, oh, I love this stuff that you're doing. But when we go to events, we bump into people that listen to the show who are bought our course or bought an affiliate product through us, and we get that real like feedback.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's really impactful for us going to events is we actually start to learn like, oh shit, people do listen to this podcast. There are like
people we
fans.
Didn't expect.
There are
Mm-hmm. I don't want to correct you, but we have been getting better, more positive feedback and support. Matt's not in support. I check in there more, and it's actually been better. I think the more we're talking about it, like what you just said, more folks are writing in now. So
cool. So you just totally invalidated my last 5 minutes of this podcast. Thank you for that.
Yeah, but also I wanted to say, no, people actually are writing good things in support. It's actually been a lot better than because typical. You're right, and it's most support is not the best stuff in the world. It's when people. It's kind of like that. People don't remember that there's a human on the other side of an email, especially when there's like a tech issue or oh, I didn't get my access to my login, whatever I bought. I didn't get it within the last 5 seconds. It's like, oh, that's and there's like no niceties. It seems like the personable nature of just communication kind of goes away.
Yeah.
Luckily,
people will definitely say things in support or in an email that they wouldn't say to you face to face.
100%. And the point I'm trying to make is I think we're doing a good job on making it sound, and it's true, that we're on the other side.
Yeah.
So the fact that if you have written in about the podcast or anything else, it's super cool because we're going to probably highlight you and send you some cool stuff like a shirt or something, or books. But it's just like you said, we don't want to wait 1 year to hear all the good stuff. So if you want to just say hi, write in at support@evergreenprofits.com or just shoot us a message on Facebook or whatever. So
I think Kurt Molly calls Traffic and Conversion Summit Internet Summer Camp or something like that, because it's like that's the event where all of the marketers, all the people we know, they all kind of convene in one place at the same time every year. Then we put on parties and masterminds and networking events and all that sort of thing. And it all happens like right in this small window. Like TNC, there's the Funnel Hacker event that Russell Brunson puts on, which we've yet to make it out to one of those yet. And then you've got Social Media Marketing World, and all three of those events happen within like a 1 month period.
It's crazy.
And then it seems like there's like no events for most of the rest of the year. And then 2020 rolls around, and then like all those events are back to back to back, which kind of sucks. I mean, Russell Brunson, if you're listening to this, Ryan Dice and you guys, if you're listening to this, like, let's space these apart so we can try to make it to more of them, because usually we find ourselves in a position where we're like, all right, I want to go to both, but I'm kind of forcing myself to choose because I can't be away from the family that long, and it's draining, and there's a lot of networking and parties, and we did TNC and we did Podfest back to back, so there was no way we were doing Funnel Hacker the week before TNC and Social Media Marketing World the week after Podfest. It's like we're not doing 4 events 4 weeks in a row. We never get anything done in our business.
Well, and this is not to say this is because of TNC and all this, but like I heard most people got away. When they went home, they're all sick. Yeah, they're all sick. No one had a voice. I heard everybody had that like conference voice.
Yeah,
I think you had it the worst,
dude. I fucking haven't gotten over it yet.
I know. That's what. And I'm still drained from Orlando and just time change, and I was a little sick from there. It was just like, dude, like it makes me appreciate not needing to travel and the fact that a lot of these things come to San Diego is really cool, but even that's tiring.
Yeah.
But I appreciate these kind of new formats that we're learning about, like virtual summits, for instance. Liam Austin was on, Abdo was on. I don't know if by the time this gets released, but he's a guest that you'll hear if you haven't already.
I don't remember the order of the release. I think Abdo might be coming out after this episode, but Liam's been out already.
Yeah, definitely. So it makes me appreciate a lot more of these formats, and not saying those other in-person stuff should go away or diminish at all, but it's almost like pick and choose.
Well, I mean, I love the in-person events.
Yeah.
I just wish they were a little more spaced out. It just seems like everybody does them like the beginning of the year. Funnel Hacker, TNC, Podfest, all of those were like February, March, Social Media Marketing World's March, all of them. They're like, all 4 of those events fall within like a 5-week window.
Right, yeah.
And that is just a lot. And then there was what's Steve Olsher's event?
New Media Summit.
Summit. That one was in February also.
How about Grant Cardone's event, 10X?
Grant Cardone's big 10X event. That was January or February?
I think,
All of these events seem to happen in like Q1 of the year, and then there's barely anything else the rest of the year. And I feel like I don't understand why some of these events, they're not kind of purposely spacing them out. Like, especially Funnel Hacker and TNC, because there's a lot of overlap in those markets, right? The Funnel Hacker market and the TNC. Like, Podfest and TNC, it's not a lot of overlap. Like, podcasters and digital marketers, a lot of them aren't the same people. But, like, Funnel Hacker and TNC, you have a ton of overlap of, like, the actual audience.
Yeah.
And you'd think, like, I know the digital marketer guys and Russell Brunson are all buddies, and space that shit out. You like coordinate it. But
hey,
anyway,
TNC's doing the East Coast thing in September, so that's cool. That's a good start.
Yeah.
But yeah, so TNC. I mean, to wrap a bow around it, there's no like. I wouldn't even say there's a consistent thing from our perspective. We can't say for the event itself, to be very honest, we weren't even in the rooms that much at all.
Yeah.
Because we literally just had so many people outside and our own stuff going on. It was just fun. That was worth it to us.
I think a big thing that around the TNC event, and like you said, we weren't in the room a lot, so we didn't actually see a lot of these presentations. But I do feel like a big sort of concept this year that a lot of people were talking about is something that you and I have been talking about for a year plus now, is branding, credibility, building your authority, not just focusing on direct response marketing all the time.
Yeah. There's all these other things that are happening that help.
Like, I know Frank Kern now, his sort of like big thing that he's out there teaching is the brand is the reason he's successful. Is he managed to build a name recognition and a brand for himself, and and that's kind of that was a it's not all just the direct response, put $1 worth of ads in, get $2 back, right? Like, the brand plays a huge role in it. And I feel like that's kind of been a big theme. You look at like what all the Facebook ads people are teaching now, even what we're teaching in our ads courses is look, get people on your content first, getting them to love what you're doing and to kind of have a slight understanding of what you're doing. And then once people know who you are, then you start retargeting them with offers and things. That's the brand, right?
Yeah.
Piece 1, build the brand. Once you have the brand, piece 2, then employ direct response marketing strategies.
It's true.
And so I feel like from the conversations I had in the halls and at the events and at the parties and stuff around TNC, I felt like that was kind of a core theme of this year.
Yeah, I could see that. And that it does fit in perfectly with what we do with the traffic system.
Yeah.
Is that it is a great targeted way to drive traffic, but it's also a way to get your brand out there and get that exposure to people that might not have known about whatever you were doing in your business.
Yeah.
Or maybe a new podcast episode, like in our case. When people are into this ecosystem, you kind of always see our brand in some form.
Yeah.
It's really cool. But yeah, I would say that's a pretty good synopsis from our take of TNC, at least. And over time, the other event that we held, which was like Tuesday, that was cool because just shout out to, I can't even shout out because I can't even think of everybody that was there. But we had so many people who were guests.
You can
on
shout
the
out
podcast.
past podcast guests for sure.
I'm not going to name them all though because I know I'm going to fail. I know. Okay, Dana, Nate.
Mm-hmm.
They were there. Nick Loper,
Tom Breeze,
Mike Rhodes, AJ Roberts,
Ralph Burns. They were one of the sponsors.
Who else? I mean, I know I'm forgetting a lot already.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna yell at us for not shouting out.
Rob Burns, Rob Stanley.
There you go. Yep, Rob Stanley was there.
We could probably spend a whole hour-long podcast naming off people that are at this event, so if we missed your name, sorry.
Yeah, Dan Ryan, honorable mention, lurker mention. Hashtag lurker mention. All right,
Dan Ryan gets irritated if we don't mention him on our episodes.
Yeah, it's okay. We get free consulting out of him the more we mention his name, so.
Yeah, we're trying to build Dan's brand more than Dan's trying to build Dan's brand.
You're welcome, Ryan. Mr. Ryan. All right, so moving on to, I would say after TNC, it was like total recovery because we hit Orlando right after that the following week.
Yeah, I think we had like a 4-day gap or something, and then we were hitting a flight to Orlando.
Yeah, so here's what's interesting about I guess our brand in general. We won't go down this rabbit hole too much, but we're in an interesting space with the brand. We feel like there's way more opportunities and things coming at us than ever before, and it's like right now is a good time, I'd say, to really. And this is not us saying, but we really have chosen to, what is our path? What's our mission? And, what's this machine that we're building? Mm-hmm. And not going to crack that totally open yet because that's a big discussion. But basically it's this time we're realizing is an interesting pivotal evolution.
Remind ourselves to make a book recommendation at the end of this episode.
I will try to remind myself that somehow. All right. Book recommendation.
And you know what book I'm talking about too.
Yes. But we'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just right now it's interesting because we've had many publishing opportunities come up, licensing of our content, reworking of our content. And this all started right around TNC and still is happening. Mm-hmm. And we're noticing in this evolution of our business that we have to be true to our path more than ever before.
Yeah.
It's way easier to get distracted now and potentially not have the momentum carry out as it should if we do a little side turn to the right or left.
Therapy session section of this episode right now, that is a big lesson that we've kind of had over this last 3 weeks is here's something that we've started to deal with, and I'm sure there's a lot of listeners that can relate, but as our brand has grown, and as our name recognition and our podcast and our course and our social media followings, as all of this, these sort of brand elements grow, we're noticing more and more people wanting to figure out how to kind of attach onto our brand, right? We're finding people that we're getting more and more offers to be on other people's podcasts. We're getting more and more offers to go speak on more stages at more events. We're getting more and more people saying I like the content you make. Can you create content for me? And I will go and market that content and publish that content for you. We're getting more people reach out that want us to be affiliates. And we didn't get this kind of stuff at a super high volume in the past. It did come into us from time to time, maybe an email or two a week of people asking for things from us. But now it's more to a point where it's multiple times per day. We're getting people asking for things from us. And it's something that we've had to sort of figure out how to deal with because we've always had this philosophy of what's the worst going to happen? Like if somebody wants us to help make some content for them, screw it. Cool. That's a new audience we can potentially get in front of. Somebody wants us to be on their podcast, never heard of their podcast, screw it. That's a new audience we can potentially get in front of. But it feels like it's starting to come in at this higher and higher rate where we literally cannot do them all. But for a long time, we were still trying to say yes to it all.
Totally. It's a pivotal time, though, to be protective of our time. And I think that's what circles back to in-person events. I think that's where my brain was really getting at is now more than ever, we need to protect our time.
Yeah.
And the time can just be like what we're doing right now. But, if we were not doing a podcast, just being in nature and like this kind of empty space that maybe you and I can chat it out.
Yeah.
Or time, like I went on a 4-mile friggin' bike ride yesterday, mountain bike ride, and I didn't have technology on me or anything like that. But some of the best ideas will come from those kind of meditative times.
Yeah.
And that's where, I reference this machine, but that's essentially like our traffic machine. Like now more than ever, we should double down on the stuff that we have full control over, which is this PAG machine we have, rather than, that's an interesting opportunity, to maybe educate in that space or do these things. But at the end of the day, we've said it before, we don't want to sell more education for the long term. That's not our plan. That's not in our roadmap at all. We can make money elsewhere by not needing to package up our info in a box that's worth a whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's really
why we do these podcasts.
That's really where like that sort of hesitation, struggle, debate has come up a lot, right? Is we don't make our money selling courses. We make our money promoting affiliate products. And we do make some money selling our courses, right? But most of our money is made from selling affiliate products.
That's like a good 80-20.
Yeah, that's like our bread and butter. And we're trying to take a lot of that money that we're making from affiliate products, and we're trying to parlay it into real estate investments. Like you've probably noticed we've had a few more real estate people on the show lately because this is a selfish show. We bring on people that have answers to questions that we want to know for our own business.
Hey, quick shout out to Marky and Sitch too. Because he definitely has been opening our eyes to this whole real estate this whole space, and he'll be on the show.
Yeah, we'll feature him on the show soon.
Very soon.
Ooh,
big hawk.
But yeah, we're doing, that we're making our money that way. And so when people come to us and they approach us and they say, hey, I love what you're doing with your affiliate marketing. Could you come teach it to our audience? Yeah. We have to debate like, okay, we make good money doing it over here. Is it worth it to us to make a little bit more money and teach it to somebody else's audience?
Yeah.
Or do we just like heads down, keep on focusing on what we're doing? Joe's totally zoning out, looking at birds
man.
now.
I can look at a bird and it's a falcon. I'm looking at it. You don't think I can listen and look at a bird at the same time, huh?
No, but
yeah, you've just been talking about info products and how we can parlay all this. I got you, bro. And this is the reason why this is the vision. And so our vision is not to be in the info space for longer than we really need to be.
Yeah.
Selling and packaging this to make money. Like that is definitely not a long-term goal at all.
Yeah. So when we have people approach us going, hey, do you want to partner with us to make an info product? All the people that have done it, we initially said yes, and then had some conversations and went, is this really like what's best for us? And nothing against these guys. We love these guys. I'm not going to name any names, but the people that approached us, like they are legit good people that we would love to work with. We just had to decide like, how do we prioritize our stuff? Do we keep on doing what we're doing with the affiliate marketing stuff and keep going deeper and deeper into that world and just ramping that up? Or do we divide our time, make info products with other people while also trying to maintain what we're doing in the affiliate stuff and sort of split our time? And so it doesn't totally make sense. So we've had to kind of make tough decisions of, all right, this could add some new income, but it also derails us from what we're trying to accomplish right now. And
that's a good segue to Podfest, I'd say. So we went to Podfest. We were invited to speak by Chris, who actually will be on the show. We're recording later this week. So he'll be, he's the founder of Podfest. And sorry, Chris, I can't pronounce your last name, so I'm not going to even try right now. But Chris from Podfest. Yeah. Super cool dude. He invited us to speak on the monetization panel at that conference in Orlando. And like you said, it was the day of. It was literally 15 minutes prior to, I think.
Yeah.
It was Diane, the moderator, who was just awesome from the Bronx. I forgot the name of your podcast, Diane, if you're listening, but you're amazing.
We'll have to reach out to her and see if she wants to join us on an episode at some point.
She'd be a fun one.
Yeah.
And she told us, she's like, so you're not going to believe this, but the other two guys bailed out. They had to because of their reasons,
Travel
and that's
issues,
fine. Yeah, and family stuff. And She's like, yeah, so it's just going to be you two for 30 minutes. I'm like, hell yeah. And my immediate response was like, that's even better. I love it.
Joe went, hell yeah. I went, oh shit.
Yeah, I mean, it all worked out. So we went in there, and basically it was 30 minutes of us on stage with her moderating, and then it was just like, it was pretty much Q&A.
Yeah.
So, we kind of hashed out more or less how we do our shirt sales through the podcast, or all the merch you see at evergreenprofits.com. Like that, we just told how we do it, which is basically using Equid.
You want me to break it down real quick?
You could do it really quickly. Go for it.
It's super simple.
Go for it.
We use a tool called Equid, ECWID, and that's actually a WordPress plugin that kind of does the same thing like a Shopify does, except it's like a fourth of the price of Shopify, and it's a simple WordPress plugin. So you install that plugin, it has a direct integration into Printful, and Printful is a print-on-demand company, so you basically give them your graphic design, and basically, when somebody orders your shirt through Equid, it sends the order details to Printful. Printful makes the shirt and ships it, and then you just keep the profit.
It's
like
so
literally that's the whole process. I'm not even leaving shit out.
Yeah, well, I remember you had that set up in about 10 minutes,
yes.
maybe 15 minutes, like the whole thing.
Well, of course, we already had a design. So, I mean, the time-consuming thing about merch is getting a design, right?
Correct.
Like, we actually hired a really, really good graphic designer named Greg Marilees from Studio One Design. Yep. Highly recommended. But they're on the pricier end of the spectrum when it comes to graphic design.
But let's be honest. You can go to, if you're on a budget, you can do it yourself, or go to Fiverr, or just hire someone on Upwork if you want to. Hire an artist in your local area.
Yeah.
I know my sister wants to do some shirts pretty soon, and I told her, I was like, well, guess what? That's easy because it's print on demand.
Yeah. Set up a WordPress blog, install Equid.
1,000 designs, and it doesn't matter.
Easy.
It's costing us a cent.
It doesn't cost any more money based on how many sales you're doing or anything. And Printful is so beautiful because there is no maintenance on our side. Like, we don't even log into Printful other than to add new shirts in there.
Right. Or we'll do a custom order like we did before TNC.
Yeah, where we ordered 100 shirts or whatever and handed them out.
And a couple hoodies for ourselves is here's some, and you can do these one-off branding things.
Yeah.
I think that's what's cool, actually, that listeners would probably like and they might not think about. Is Printful. You can just freaking literally, we made hoodies with the big logo on the back and then the EGP logo on the front chest.
Yeah.
And walked around TNC in Orlando at Podfest with those on. And that's just branding, and now it's my most favorite hoodie.
Yeah, I love it. They're actually really nice hoodies, too.
Mm-hmm.
But, another thing we were talking about at Podfest, we didn't actually do it this year, but we're thinking about doing it for future events, is because you don't have to order a shit ton of inventory for these shirts, you can just do them one on, print on demand when you want them. We were thinking about going to, Podfest, getting a Hustle and Flowchart shirt and then putting something unique to Podfest on it. So the only place you can get that one of a kind shirt is if you go to Podfest and meet us there. And it says Hustle and Flowchart Podfest 2020 or something. And then we can do these custom shirts that only go out at those events. And then it's kind of a cool unique thing that it's that's a one of a kind shirt. If you run into us at a different event, we have a different shirt. You know,
can even do that if you knew you were speaking in a certain room or on a certain stage. You could be monetization. Something sexier than that, and then just give them to those people in the room.
You could, and because you can order very, very small quantities, you can do really cool stuff like that.
Right.
And then you might have some super fans that want to try to collect as many as possible, so they start meeting you at different events to try to get your custom shirt from that event, and their whole wardrobe becomes Hustle and Flowchart shirts. That's my dream, that somebody wants their whole wardrobe to be a Hustle and Flowchart shirts.
Oh man, you gotta work on your dreams.
It's one of many. Okay,
good. Yeah, and so we talked about, that was one of the topics that Diane said, okay, this crowd would love to hear how to sell their own merch.
Oh, and that blew them away, too. I was looking out of the crowd, and everybody was just furiously taking notes while we were talking about that.
Yeah, Equid plus Printful. That's it. And we'll link those in the show notes, too, because we have some links to go to those, because those might be a little hard to find, especially the Equid. Sometimes if you misspell it.
Yeah,
we got you.
I'm planning on making some tutorials on how to do this too, just to be cool and share it. Nothing for sale or anything.
Be cool. But yeah, so it was interesting because we're not making money off of those necessarily. Maybe $1 a pop or less, depending on where you live. But that's, Diane, I told her, I'm like, this is not a moneymaker for us. It's total branding, going back to branding. And she was like, that's perfect. It doesn't matter. People want to see their brand out there. And that was kind of oh yeah, that's true.
Dude, we've either sold or given away about 500 500 shirts by now, which is pretty fucking cool.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. There's about 500 people walking around this world, not all at the same time, but with Hustle and Flowchart shirts.
One day your dream will be accomplished.
One day we'll have a national Hustle and Flowchart day, international Hustle and Flowchart day, where everybody wears their Hustle and Flowchart shirt on the same day and Instagram tags it.
All right. Next year?
Next year. Sure.
It's doable.
On my birthday.
Wow. Okay. Got it.
April 30th.
About 1 month. Yeah.
You can look at my Amazon wish list if you want to send me something, because it's later this month when this episode comes out.
There you go. So, all right, that was big topic number one, and then there was like a split, and then everybody sang "Happy Birthday" to me, which was cool.
Yeah,
while we were sitting on stage, so that was got that on video. Maybe we'll put that in the show notes too. Why not? Lee and Justin from Optimum Living Daily.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time with them.
Yeah, they're super cool dudes. So that was partially the reason why it was fun to go out there. Had a lot of meals with them and just discussions about just everything.
Yeah.
Good times. But so second topic during our panel was how we monetize our podcast. Like, not by merch, because that's not really how we're making money, but affiliate marketing.
Well, and this was a big aha, was when we started talking about affiliate marketing. Now, if we were to get up on stage at TNC and talk about affiliate marketing, people would just probably be like, yeah, I get it. Yeah. Cool, affiliate marketing, we all do it, it wouldn't be like a big deal. You go to something like Podfest where everybody there is podcasters. They're not necessarily entrepreneurs, they're not necessarily business owners, they're not necessarily using their podcast as their income generator, right? Like, we're very unique in the fact that we're podcasters first, and everything we do in our business that generates income,
marketers first.
Well, sure, whatever. We're we lead with our podcast. People discover us from our podcast. The podcast is like the way people know about us first. But because we're marketers, we bring people down rabbit holes through retargeting and getting on our list and selling them products and stuff.
Got it.
But we lead with the podcast. Yes, we're marketers first. That's like our first true, that's
in the brain. That's like,
that's how we're wired. We're wired as marketers. But our podcast is what we lead with in our so you get what I'm saying.
It's unique, it's and that was the aha back then in Orlando, was because we wanted to talk about this whole segmentation strategy and retargeting and pixels, and Diane was like, no no, you're gonna be way over their heads, and we're like, oh, all right, well, this is even cooler. So then we kept it super surface level, and we talked about, essentially how we pair up with our partners, affiliate partners, and do these quote unquote like mock sponsorships that you'll hear sometimes with Gen M. Yeah, we'll mention that. And that has developed into a relationship with Gen M, because we were sending them a lot of referrals without us getting paid. We were getting credits at the time.
Yeah.
And then from there, they're like, oh, they reached out to us. Shannon was heading this up, our ops manager, and she basically created this like pretty cool relationship. I think we were their first affiliates
we were definitely early on for them. I don't know.
One or two. I mean, they got this.
When we started, they were literally tracking it in Google Analytics and then just like sending us screenshots so we knew how many sales we could do. And then after like us sending them quite a bit of sales, they actually built out a full affiliate platform to like actually promote it through special affiliate links.
And that all came from doing this kind of mock sponsorship thing, and putting them on show notes pages. You'll see them on a lot of pages. It's because it's been an amazing resource. People say they love it. The feedback's always been amazing. We still use them. And
Steven, one of our most valuable team members, we love Steven. Steven is an amazing guy who is we're hoping he works for us forever. He's the one who listens to every single one of these episodes and writes our show notes.
Sell it, Matt. Sell it.
He's one of our most valuable team members now, and we
really are, Steven.
We found him through Gen M.
Yeah. No, it's 100%. He came from Gen M, and he is, he's written the show notes that you see on all the pages, and is now taking up our newest podcast, which I don't think we've ever actually officially said the name or concept.
I don't think we knew the name before recording today's episode.
The name of the podcast?
Yeah, well, I don't think we've recorded an episode before today where we actually knew the name yet.
Should now be the announcement or later? This could be a rabbit hole we go into.
Well, we can name it now that you've opened that loop, but
Hustle and Flow Shorts.
Hustle and Flow Shorts. So just a real quick description of it. So these episodes tend to last anywhere from 45 minutes all the way up to like our longest episode almost approaches 2 hours. And so what we've decided to do is actually do a daily show Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, where it's a clip show. So all of like the best sort of golden nuggets and takeaways from past episodes are chopped up into smaller, 10-minute chunks. So you can just like listen to kind of little golden nuggets of wisdom each day if you have a shorter commute or whatever. So now we'll have a long form version of our podcast, Hustle and Flow Chart, and our short form clips show hosted by Steven, who was just mentioned a moment ago, called Hustle and Flow Shorts.
Yeah. So we could dig into the how we actually do that in a later date.
Yeah, that's another episode, I think, right there.
Definitely. But it's going to be a cool thing. So it'll become a daily show, and it's originating in this longer form show, Hustle and Flow Chart. Yeah, I'm going to screw up these
names.
Not
Hustle
now.
and Flow Chart, which is another name that we sometimes call ourselves.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really cool. But this is so Steven came from Gen M, who we now have this good relationship with Gen M. Had the Mo Abbas on the podcast, the CEO of Gen M,
one of the co-founders.
Or
was he is there co-founders or a founder?
So.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the two. He's running the show, or one of them. So it's just really cool to see how that's kind of developed. And that came from us essentially just seeing a really cool service in this case.
Yeah.
And we wanted to promote it. And we saw, well, we're going to make a little credits on this. So we know we're going to want to hire people for different roles. Well, it's advantageous to us. It's advantageous to our listeners.
Yeah.
Let's throw it in there. And then now it's a good little money maker. Not the biggest, but that's fine. Doesn't have to be.
Well, let me just explain the concept real quick of the mock sponsorship.
Yeah.
So basically, we approached them, said, hey, we want to be an affiliate of you, but on our show, we basically want to say we're sponsored by you. So you don't actually give us sponsorship revenue. Like, we're not going to go and charge you $2,000 a month or whatever to be a sponsor. We're just going to mention a special link, and we want an affiliate cut because we actually think we can make more as affiliates than as you actually sponsoring us.
Right.
And they gave us their blessing to do that. They gave us an affiliate link, and we created a link at, I think, evergreenprofits.com/GenM. And we basically said, we're sponsored by Gen M. Go here to get a discount coupon. And we just drove them to that affiliate link that they created for us and acted like they were our sponsor. And like you said, over time, it developed into a better and better relationship to where now we work pretty closely with the people at Gen M on a much closer of an actual sponsorship type basis.
Yeah. So it's really cool, and that's what was blowing folks away there at Podfest, because we don't have the millions and millions of downloads out there, or even the hundreds of thousands of downloads. I mean, that's what really is what it takes to do this sponsorship route, which a lot of podcasters think are really the only way to monetize these things, unless they join a network. Like, there's a lot of podcast networks, and that's more of a publishing thing now. You join a network, but you're going to get sponsorship, there's funding and all that stuff. But there's a lot of ways to make money with podcasting, and the sponsorship route's just the most obvious one of those.
Yeah.
And it really takes a lot of downloads because it's all CPM, so it's cost per 1,000.
Yeah.
That's how you get paid, about $25, $30 CPM. And, you start running the math on that. If you're just starting out, you're like, that's not anything.
No.
So if you can do these mock sponsorships and start a little conversation with some product owner or, affiliate manager, something that you really think would be a good market match for your podcast or anything you're putting out there, even YouTube, you could probably do this.
Yeah.
You could start making money from day one as long as you got some traffic.
Yeah. Well, let's just let's compare the numbers, because it's kind of interesting to think about, right? Like, you and I, we spent like half the day in spreadsheets running numbers, like getting our business machine dialed in, which we tend to do like maybe once a month or so.
Important, man. You got to know your numbers.
Yeah. And I think that's where most podcasters and most entrepreneurs in the first place really screw things up, is they don't have that tight grip on what their numbers are. But that's a whole nother rant for a different day.
We'll go down through that, a different day. But I think that'd be a cool episode, is just breaking down, like, what are these metrics that we decided that we're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
These are the things that really make our money and our livelihood, and we don't have to work more. We just have to optimize a couple things.
Yeah. I mean,
that's an open loop for another episode.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a long discussion.
Yeah. So what was I just about to say?
You were going down about knowing your numbers. And yeah. Did you get it?
Yeah. So I was going to run the numbers of like a sponsorship versus affiliate. So let's just say like you're promoting a product that's $300. So we promote ThriveCart pretty heavily, right? We make 50% of it. It's a $600 product. We make $300 per sale. So we make $300 per sale. Let's just say we were going to go to a sponsorship route and ThriveCart wanted to sponsor us, right? Well, we would make a roughly $30 CPM. That means for every 1,000 downloads, we'd make about $30 1,000 downloads. Now, the nice thing about sponsorships is that's like basically guaranteed money. Whether people buy or not, you're making that money off the sponsorships.
And usually I know a lot of podcasts will get that money up front. So that could be kind of sexy as well. So there are some pros and cons, obviously.
Yeah, so let's do the numbers. Let's say you have a podcast that gets 10,000 downloads a month, okay? 10,000 downloads a month at a $30 CPM, you would make $300 per month off of that sponsor, right? And, you can add more than one sponsor to your show, but the more sponsors you add, the more it's going to piss off your listeners. And it's a fine balance of how many sponsors you have and trying to keep the value high so that your customers don't get annoyed by the sponsors. So let's say you have 10,000 downloads a month selling $30 CPM. Let's say you have one sponsor, that's $300 a month. Let's say you have two sponsors, you make $600 a month off of a 10,000 download a month podcast. Now, $600 a month is kind of like probably the max you'd do at that level, because if your subscriber base is like that low, you're only getting 10,000 downloads a month right now, you probably don't want to like piss off your listeners by adding more sponsors when
it's a balance
at that size. So let's just say you're making $600 a month off two sponsors. Now let's say on the other side you're doing a mock sponsorship with Thrivecart, and every time you make a sale you make $300. So out of those 10,000 downloads you got over that month, you just need two people to buy through your affiliate link to make that $600.
Yep.
But more than likely, you're going to get more than that, right? We get a lot more sales when we mention affiliate links than just one or two sales typically.
If we're direct about it, it's definitely, we see a spike in sales. And obviously, you can do it a very passive way and just have it in show notes.
Yeah.
That's one way you can do it, but I would definitely be direct, but work it in a cool way.
Yeah.
We try to.
So if you have 10,000 downloads a month, if you can get four people to buy Thrivecart out of those 10,000 downloads you got in that month, you just made $1,200. That's double the potential you would have made off sponsorships.
Sure.
So now you can see why we are so bullish on affiliate marketing over a sponsorship model with podcasts, because like those numbers just compound. Let's say you're getting 100,000 downloads a month. All right. So now you just went from making $300 or $600 a month to making $6,000 a month. Right. But how many sales of Thrivecart do you have to make $6,000 a month?
Where's my calculator?
Like 20.
Yeah, there you go. That sounds
20
right.
sales, right? If you have 100,000 downloads a month, do you think you can make 20 sales?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I sure as heck hope so.
Right? You're probably going to make a hell of a lot more than 20 sales off those 100,000 downloads. In my mind, I have a hard time making the math work out so that sponsorships sound better than affiliate marketing. The difference is you got to have more balls to be an affiliate.
And that's the thing. And you need to know a little bit more. There's probably a little bit, maybe a little tech setup and some negotiations you do back and forth, even though you do that with sponsorship opportunities anyway.
Yeah.
And then just imagine when you layer, and this is what we do, this is the part we didn't go into in the presentation, but you as a listener are more savvy, most likely, because you've been listening here, is you layer in the PAG traffic system that we have, and now magically you're when you direct people to your show notes page, you're pixeling them all in. You're directing them to an email list for a cheat sheet or some cool transcription for PDF download. And then guess what? Like you probably just doubled your odds of even making more money. So you probably just doubled that. Now you're at $12,000 a month. Yeah. And all you did is, maybe throw on a couple retargeting ads, have your pixels and email in place.
Well, I mean, if you're building a list and you got your pixels in place, and let's say you have 100,000 downloads a month, and let's say only 10% of those people, only 10% of those 100,000 go to your site and get on your mailing list, right? You put 10,000 people on your mailing list, and now you can promote affiliate products directly to that mailing list. You can promote your own internal products directly to that mailing list. You can promote services that you get a kickback on directly to your mailing list. And, there's an old rule of thumb. We actually make more than this, but there was an old rule of thumb that your mailing list is worth $1 per subscriber per month, right?
Jesus, ours is much more.
It's definitely more than that now, but
yes,
but even if you figured that math, if you build a subscriber list of 10,000 subscribers, you theoretically can make an extra $10,000 a month off that list.
That's what's crazy.
So now we're at that $6,000 off of just listeners to the podcast, plus the people that got on your list. Now you're at $16,000 a month off 100,000 subscriber podcast. This is why we're fucking so excited about podcasting / affiliate marketing combo.
It's true. All right. So I've just thought of one of my big goals for just for me, or a dream of mine. Your dream is to have everybody by your birthday next year, April 30th, 2020, to have every person on the planet wearing a Hustle and Flowchart t-shirt, right?
Yes.
That was your dream.
I'm gonna have SpaceX fly a rocket into space and just like rain down on the Earth, hustling flowchart shirts.
Maybe on Mars. That could be cool. So I was just thinking, as you were saying all of this, because it's extremely true what Matt was just saying. That's our fun with math, but that's like using real math. That's exactly what we did on Friday. We dug into some key metrics and we realized if we just did a little tweak here, oh, that just bumped us up $5,000. Oh, that one, if we just increase X amount of leads, well, shit, this takes us from, this amount of money to 5x that or more.
Yeah.
Without doing anything other than just little tweaks.
Yeah.
But the big aha that comes through, and this is, like I tell you, Matt, is most pages I go to, if we're ever like auditing a website or anything like that, we have our pixel helpers in there.
Yeah.
Facebook pixel helper, you have the Google Analytics one, or Google one, tag manager thing. If no one has a pixel on their website, like there's no Facebook pixel on there, I'm just like, what? Huh?
Yeah.
What? My mission, I think, is to everyone should have a fucking pixel on their website.
And if you don't have a pixel, contact us and let us put our pixel on your website because we'll do it.
Seriously.
We'll do it and we'll make more money off your website than you make off your website.
We'll pay you. We'll pay you some. We'll make sure that you get some money out of the deal, more than you made before.
Yeah.
By not having a pixel on there. But I guarantee, just contact us. support@evergreenprofits.com. If you don't have a pixel on your website, if you have traffic and you don't want to deal with it, send us an email.
Yeah. Let us put our pixel on your website. We'll actually go promote affiliate products and retarget people that visited your website, and we'll give you a cut of what we make. Let's do it. Let's make a deal here, people.
Serious, man. No, if you think about it, like, if you don't have a pixel on your website, you're like just missing out on everything. And I think that would be an amazing mission, is if people actually understood why the hell that's so important and how easy it is to just set up some retargeting.
Yeah.
So every time a listener hits your page, they see your stuff for an X period of days later. Or some offer segment, like you don't have to get fancy with it, but for the love of God, put a pixel on your website.
For sure.
If you don't, contact us. We'll work it out. All right, carrying on.
Oh yeah, no, the numbers thing is a good. I think we could probably do a whole episode. We've had episodes in the past with guests about knowing your numbers. We talked to Chris Mercer, we talked to Tina Marie, and I'm sure a handful of other people that I'm drawing a blank on now, but. We'll do a whole episode about like what numbers we dug into, why, how we dig into the numbers. Spoiler alert, we love Wicked Reports, but all of that kind of stuff.
Spoiler alert, we love leads.
Yeah.
But what business doesn't? Yeah, but there's simple little levers. You'll see how powerful this thing is.
Yeah, no, we basically reverse engineered how to make about $2 million per year off the back end of a podcast. So that'll be a future episode. We've opened the loop.
Much of anything else.
We've opened the loop multiple times. So
we'll stop there.
Let's just stop opening that loop, because then
unless we fulfill.
Yeah.
We will soon. Also,
and nowadays, these days we have people running into us at events when we say, "Hey, we're going to put on."
Matt, why do you steal the freaking thoughts out of my head?
Were you about to say? We run into people at events and they'll be like, "Hey, you mentioned you're going to do an episode on X. You haven't done it yet. When are you going to do it?" So now we're actually getting called out when we mention that we're going to do episodes and then don't do them. So we kind of got it now.
There were about 4 people, maybe 5 at Podfest. And definitely about the same amount or way more, or they were for other reasons, but we're there that they've heard about TNC from us, definitely Podfest from us, seeked us out and said, "Hey, I saw it in your newsletters, in your emails, the Weekly Profit and other ones.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to be at TNC," or "Hey, we're going to be at Podfest speaking on the monetization panel." And what do you know? Like, we had a handful of people there that bought their tickets to Podfest because they heard it from us and went to the panel, asked questions. We got to meet them. It was super cool. And like you said, you got called out a couple times for some episodes, which is the one we're actually doing right now.
Yep.
But like that, and this circles back, I guess, full circle back to where we started. Like, we don't hear a lot of folks that listen to us, and get it. It's a podcast, but at the end of the day, we saw the impact at these events. People are traveling, they're paying for hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars worth of tickets coming out, and it's just really cool. So thanks to everybody who we saw or those that we didn't see that who listened and might have gone. Or
and thanks for those of you that sat in on our panel too, because I think the thing about Podfest is at any given time there's like 7 things going on at once, and everybody kind of has their choice of which room to sit in. So all the rooms feel kind of like thinned out, not a ton of people in every single room at every given moment.
What are you talking about? It was like 10,000 people in that.
But we were actually told that we had we did have a pretty decent crowd.
The best monetization panel. I heard that from many people, and there were multiple. I don't know how many, but yeah, we had a big crowd for what was happening during that time. And we were told by multiple people, including some pretty big businesses out there, like, dude, what you guys were saying is completely light years better than what most of these podcasters are talking about.
Well, Podfest may have legitimately led us to a partnership with a company that's $100 million company.
Yeah, so.
But we'll get into that in a future episode too if it pans out. I don't want to set us up for failure and jinx anything.
You're saying more than I would have. No, I'm just kidding. You're fine.
But yes. I mean,
what's the book? You said to remember a book that we're going to recommend. You can lead this.
So we've both been listening to it on Audible, but I think we're both going to go pick it up on print because there's a lot of great references. A guy named Nathan Latka. Maybe some of you have heard of him, some of you haven't, but he runs a podcast called The Top. He put out a book.
Show.
Yeah, it's a daily show. He put out a book called How to Be a Capitalist Without Needing Capital.
Without capital.
Really, really good book. And like, especially if you're like a marketer.
You're good. He's had a big old red ant on your shoulder.
Oh, nice, thank you.
We're in the wilderness.
We are in the wilderness.
Know what's out here.
But no,
snake around his neck, but I'm not telling him about that. Just kidding.
He has this book called How to Be a Capitalist Without Needing Capital.
Yeah,
or Without Capital.
Without capital. It is one. You'll find it.
Yeah, just look up Nathan Latka. I think it's his only book. Really, really good book. If you're listening to this and you actually know Nathan, we actually want to have him on the show. So like, point him to this episode or introduce us, make a connection.
You know the email.
We'd love to chat with him. His book is really, really good. It's kind of like a new generation of the 4-hour work week.
I would say it's pretty close to that, yeah.
Because he talks about...
closest I've seen.
I mean, there's a lot of similar stuff in there around like the new rich. He uses that kind of concept
reference,
a lot. Yeah. He talks about like travel hacks a lot, which was a big portion of like Tim Ferriss's book. He talks about investing. He talks about low barrier to entry, low startup cost businesses, like a lot of similar stuff that you would hear in the 4-hour work week, but like updated for the current world and like the gig economy. And back when I mean, he mentions Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad as well, and one of the things that Rich Dad Poor Dad always used to talk about is, if you own a house, if you're not earning rental income off of it, it's not an asset.
It's a liability.
It's a liability. But in today's world, you can own a house, live in it, and have it be an asset because of things like Airbnb or doggy daycare type shit that you used to do.
Turo, I mean, my car. Yeah, those are all paid for by other people.
So things that used to be considered expenses by Robert Kiyosaki's definition are actually now, they can now be assets. So if you want to hear a book that, I can only describe it as like a sort of 4-hour work week meets Rich Dad Poor Dad, but for like this current generation we're in, that's a really, really good book. We're really enjoying it.
I can help you describe it a little bit more too.
Okay, go for it.
I feel like it's a good add-on to a lot of like what every business owner is probably doing already. And so there's a lot of examples of how you can leverage kind of like a following that you already have and craft like these opportunities, for instance, that are coming in. You can just kind of just play them out, and maybe you can kind of just basically tweak these little things that you're already doing. For podcasting, there's so many different opportunities for sponsorships, and with this daily show, we'll probably toy with more of the idea of the sponsorship route. Nathan broke down like these scripts you can send out to all sorts of people, word for word. I think that's what I really like about this. You can kind of use these things that he's done for his podcast business. He's a big advocate of copying other businesses that are working out there, not trying to reinvent the wheel, because let's be honest, most businesses fail if you just try something that's completely fresh rather than modeling something that's already working, even if it is like in the same industry. Yeah, which he was like, a lot of people have aversion to that. But there's so many examples that's worked out perfectly, and there's big enough economy for all that.
Yeah.
And I've been taking it as a good, timely thing. And for us, it goes back to, he describes this machine concept of understanding what's working really well for your business. This conversion machine, if you work the machine, like our case, the traffic system and affiliate marketing, what we can do with a lead is very powerful if you hone in the conversion machine. You bring traffic in, something happens, and you output some money, revenue you can reinvest and pay yourself more and more.
For sure.
So that book it's pretty cool. So Nathan Locke's book, How to Be a Capitalist Without Capital. I believe is the title.
Any other cool thing we should touch on while we kind of got a duet action happening? Any other good books, podcasts, tools, software, anything else cool that you've been digging lately?
We are starting to use this thing called Notion.
Yes, we are.
For the business. That is, we heard it from
Stephen Izetkis, whose episode, I think, when this goes live, would have been like 2 episodes ago or something.
It was him. Okay, cool. So, we're on Notion now. I think it's free, and it's I don't know. It's got like Asana built in, Trello built in, all these to-do lists, workflowy type thing. It's calendar, like a team calendar that everybody can kind of stay in the loop with each other. It's like a all-in-one sort of like hub for your business. Yeah, and what I like about it too is that you could download. There's a Mac app, so you can have it actually on the desktop, not another browser window open. You have an app on the phone too, so it's just really cool. It just seems very lightweight, but it could do a lot. And we were always searching for something that really had everything in one. We were tired of all these freaking apps online.
Yeah,
and you just forget to log into it. Or, what's my password?
Yeah, so, I mean, you can legit replace like Evernote, Workflowy, Asana, Trello, Basecamp, all of those with this one tool.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. We've been
digging that.
Been using that. I've been really hooked on Reddit lately. Like that's kind of like I spend a lot of time scrolling through Reddit. It's really cool because like the concept of Reddit, there's all these subreddits which are kind of like themes that you could kind of scroll through, and you can go and pick all your favorite subreddits, and then your homepage is just like a tailored news feed of only the stuff you're interested in. And I follow a lot of stand-up comedy stuff, a lot of podcasting stuff, a lot of like jokes, like a lot of threads where people are just like sharing jokes and stuff like that. So it's just like I scroll through Reddit and it's just like a whole bunch of funny shit mixed in with like podcasting advice.
So it keeps your attention and
I follow like the San Diego Padres Reddit thread, so it's like I'm always keeping up to date with the news with what's going on at the Padres and shit like that.
So another one that I mentioned it like briefly on another podcast was Elevate. And it's cool because it like I'm looking at it now, but it like gamifies learning, and it's essentially it's made to make you a better, just essentially a digester of content, a creator of content, a speaker, a listener, math on anything on the fly basically. This thing trains you in different learning techniques. It teaches you if you're a little slow in one of those things, or like math, for instance. I'm learning a lot of tricks that maybe others have picked up on in the past, or just simple little things of just it's like hacking learning basically is how I'm seeing it. So every single day I do like maybe it's 10 minutes of some lessons, get my check for the day. I could do more if I want, but usually that's enough, and then you just keep learning, adding on. It's really cool. Elevate. I paid I think it's like $30 for the year, but they have a free version too.
Yeah,
it seems worth it.
I still need to grab it. I haven't grabbed that yet.
I bought that from a YouTube video ad, like just a cold YouTube ad. I'm like, I don't think I've ever purchased anything that way, but I went for it. Kind of worked out so far.
There's still a world we got to explore more of, man. Like I feel like there's so many things that we gotta like test out still. Like YouTube ads, I've dabbled a little, but couldn't go as deep as I wanted because we had stuff going with Facebook and Google and.
It's a focus thing.
Yeah, but everybody I hear from, and I know this was another big thing that was kind of circulating at Traffic and Conversion Summit, is that like YouTube is still like the wild west of advertising. People are just getting killer cost per clicks and like engagement and awareness using YouTube. So.
I think so if you're good at YouTube, we're gonna just crowdsource some help right now. Let's be honest, we probably know what we need to do, but we need someone to just help us drive this bad boy. Yeah, so if you think you got some YouTube chops for some basic stuff that we're just trying to do, reach out.
Yeah, for sure.
You've heard the support email again, but support at evergreenprofits.com, and just make it clear that you're down to help or give us some advice or something. But
yep.
Hey, we'll take any help we can, because I think at the end of the day, we don't need to do it, but it'd be nice.
Yeah.
It'd be a good. It's just another platform to show up on and optimize.
Yeah, that and Reddit. I want to Reddit.
Totally.
Reddit has some massive potential too. It's just
Quora too.
Yeah, all those.
These are different places that we can only do so much, but we got people to help us out.
As we experiment with that kind of stuff, we'll of course turn around and share it here again. Like we
Always.
mentioned, every time we do one of these duets, we're like, we need to do more of these. But now we're actually purposefully making a point to at least do one new duet episode a month or so. So it's you're gonna hear more episodes like this that are just kind of us raw behind the scenes, goofing around, but also sharing what's on our minds right now. I think we're gonna stick with that therapy session, this sort of theme, and you're gonna see a lot more therapy sessions from us.
I think we like it, and we want to make it a point to go to different locations each time too.
Yeah.
Just to experiment San Diego as I'm for some reason I've been watching Matt. I haven't seen a single fly around him. Oh, there's another ant on your shoulder. I've had like flies on me the entire time. I shower, I promise. Love of God.
I do keep seeing the flies buzz around your head, and I haven't noticed one around me.
I know. I'm just I keep swatting my face. I'm like, damn it. But no, this is cool. I like getting outside, and we'll explore new places. And check the Instagram if you haven't already. Evergreen Profits. You'll see all the wild crap we're always up to.
Yep.
We'll always try to film what we're up to. All right.
Also,
thanks for listening.
One thing, another crowdsource thing. If there's anything you want to hear us do, like a deep dive, like therapy session on without a guest, let us know at support. I'm not going to say the support email again, but let us know at support. And we're always looking for cool ideas to just have discussions around. We love our guest interview shows. We're still going to be 90% a guest interview show. But every 10% of our shows, every once in a while, we want to do these kind of little looks behind the scenes, what's going on with our brains, what we're doing in our business, what's working now for us. Conversations about the people we're meeting and the things we're learning right now. We love having these kinds of episodes. We just don't always have the perfect idea of what to talk about. So if you want to help feed us some of those ideas, we'd love to hear them from you.
Steven, you can link them up in the show notes. You can be like, hey, YouTube expert wanted, and just link it to the support email. Hey, what should we talk about next? Link to support email. You know what I mean here.
Yeah.
Thanks, Steven. This is good times though. But we'll do more of these episodes. Is always fun to kind of deload the brains and get a little bit of therapy that way too. Yep. We all need it, right?
To deload, does deload mean download or unload?
I think it's unload.
Okay.
Deload. Take the load off.
Okay. Gotcha.
We could say unload too, but deload sounds like hackery or something.
Hackery.
Decode,
deload. Brief. Gotcha. D-bird.
Is that a thing? I'm looking at a bird. I don't know.
There's a T-bird.
T-bird.
That was a car.
That's T-bird. T-bone.
T-bone.
It's a steak. Now I'm getting hungry. All right, we should get out of here.
Yeah, if you're still listening to this, thank you.
Yeah, it means you must really like us.
You should just email us at support and say thanks for that episode.
And that's it.
That's it. No, that was the end of the comment.
It looked like you had more to say.
No, I'm just trying to get. I don't actually access support. I don't even have a login to our support desk.
That's why.
I don't see any of the support messages. So if you guys blow up support, it doesn't matter to me.
Well, this is what's funny because Matt was describing what support's like. I'm like, Matt, you're never in there, and I think the stuff you ever see are the things that are like, hey, we got this tech issue going on.
Yeah, because these jerks only tell me about the bad shit.
That's not true, though. I sent you a lot of good comments from So, please write in. Either way, whatever the hell you got going on, we'd love to hear from you. So, thank you very much for listening.
All right. Hustle and Flowchart out.